The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style. From the highs to the lows, every story just explodes. Mike's got questions on the go, diving deep from head to toe. Every week the guests align, sharing moments so divine. Stay with us, the pace is fine. Every episode you'll find. The Big H Podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style.
Hello and welcome to the Big H Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Heise, and joining me for this version of the podcast is Jeff Parizek. He knows everything about girls basketball locally. He's the women's coach at GCC. He also coaches football for the Hilton Central School District. He's their JV coach, does a lot of work with the offense, and also coaches softball in the Kendall District. And his day job is teaching social studies there. Jeff, it's great to have you along.
Pleasure to be here, Coach Heise.
So starting off, I want you to talk to us a little bit about what you're doing right now with your GCC team and how they're doing.
Well, we're in our third year. I'm in my third year here at Genesee Community College as a women's head basketball coach. We just culminated our regular season on Saturday with a pretty solid victory over Finger Lakes Community College to improve our record to 12-11 overall. We are now the 7th seed in the region, and we'll take on the Fulton Montgomery Community College team on Friday at Jefferson Community College in the Elite Eight of the region.
What's it been like building that program in the last 3 years?
It's taken a little time with recruiting, obviously, hitting the ground running. I didn't have any recruits my first year. We had about 8 girls that we went through a whole season with. Last year, brought in 6 freshmen. And we had 10 to 12, pretty steady throughout the year, and won 7 games, with 1 forfeit for 8 total. And then I went and got another 6 this year. They're going to have 6 back. But unfortunately, torn ACL, another health situation. A couple kids chose not to play or finish the year. We're down to our 7, but it's a good 7. And the recruiting class next year I just got actually a commitment today from a girl from Melba, Maria Smith, who just committed. That's my 7th kid that's committed for the 2026 class. And I should have 6 coming back next year.
Yeah, so things are looking up. How do you think you'll do on Friday? Anything can happen, but what's that outlook look like?
Fulton Montgomery is very good. They beat us pretty good the first time, but we're playing way different than we were in the beginning of the season. We're a totally different team. They have a player that transferred from Morrisville back to junior college that was freshman of the year in the conference with Morrisville last year. They have a point guard that's very good in Haley Monroe, who played in the state championship last year in Class D, and a couple other really solid players. So we'll have our hands full, but we're playing very well. And, I think, Fulton will have their hands full with us too.
Well, the Big H Podcast is wishing you all sorts of luck. You're a big fan of ours. We're a big fan of yours. So we'll be checking that website to see, maybe pull down a W.
Appreciate it.
Now, you went to the sectional seating luncheon, and I was going to ask you first, what's your role in Section 5 and that Section 5 committee for the girls?
I am a class coordinator on the Section 5 committee, obviously run by Tim Lincoln, who's head of Section 5 girls basketball. I kind of, I'm the Class A coordinator, but I'm also going to be covering the Class D semis, and I'll be, at the finals both Friday and Saturday for all classes, helping out with, handing out awards and such, whatever else Tim needs with the committee.
How long have you been that Class A coordinator or been involved in that sectional playoff stuff?
For at least 8 to 10 years.
And you're real busy on those final days, right? Those finals?
The Friday night usually is 2 or 3 games, so it's a little later, but Saturday's a full, morning to late evening. So yeah, Saturday will be a long day at Finger Lakes Community College for the sectional finals.
You love it though, right?
Absolutely.
Talk to me a little bit about the classifications when it comes down to girls. You're going from AAA, and down and how what encompass was that?
Well, obviously, for the public schools, the beds population really, grades 9 to 12 solidifies what class each public school team will be in. Obviously, the biggest schools like Fairport and a couple other teams in the AAA, all the way down to your Albas, Batavia Notre Dames, Sios, Friendships in the Class D. And then you got AAA is one classification. AA actually is two this year. There's a AA1, AA2. Class A is only one this year. B has two, B1, B2. C has two, C1, C2, and then you have your Class D.
And you spit those out like they were on the back of your hand. You're close friends with Paul Gotham. Talk about his involvement and his ability to promote the girls program in his site.
Yeah, Paul obviously does a great job. He actually coached me in high school as I was at Bishop Kearney as a strapping young freshman, and we didn't have a JV summer league, so Paul picked me up for the Spenceport summer league until the varsity coach, Coach Blackwell, found out I was playing and didn't want me to play anymore because I wasn't a Spenceport kid. So kind of got, taken out of the playoff lineup, but that was okay. He does an amazing job of picking splinters and covering. He actually texted me today for a coach's number to reach out to in regard to doing an article on his team before the start, the sectional play this week. He's out at almost every game he can be. And if he's not, he has people that'll be there for him. And he really does a really good job promoting Section 5 and all, high school sports as best he can, but really girls basketball, he's been a really rock as far as the coverage goes.
Activity, I don't know, a tournament that you're involved in is B Canny. Can you talk to me a little bit about what B Canny stands for and what your involvement has been in that tournament?
Sure. Yeah. Obviously, the BCANY stands for the Basketball Association Coaches of New York. I am this Section 5, the Rochester girls rep, and I have been for the last 20 years. Been blessed enough to coach. So the Summer Hoops Festival originated from the Empire State Games when the Empire State Games unfortunately had to shut down. This organization with the BCNY and Dave Archer kind of stepped up and said, well, we'll do a high school boys and girls tournament. And it originated in Binghamton, New York at Johnson City High School. They have wonderful facilities. And it started actually when Brianna Stewart was going to be a rising senior. She got off a plane from Australia and won MVP of the U18 Worlds and played in Binghamton that next weekend off the plane. She got off the plane on Thursday and played on a Friday in Binghamton. Section 5 has been blessed with a lot of talent. Ranging from, Sierra Dillard in our first championship, Deasia Fair in our second championship. And then we've been blessed to win the last three in a row with players like Mallory Heiss, not Heisey, Heiss, thank you. Loren Green.
Ryland
Fehrenbach.
Did Asia Wilson play on that team?
Yes, Asia Wilson. I could keep AJ or I could keep going.
The girl from Aquinas too that plays at Damon now.
Molly O'Toole. Yep. Navi Buntley, who played at Damon. I saw the Damon versus Duville game yesterday I was at. Saw about Allie Hall from Bishop Kearney was playing too. I saw about 6 or 7 girls that played for me and the BCOI just in that game alone between the two teams, which was pretty special. So we've been blessed to win it 3 years in a row. We haven't lost a game in 3 years. I won't say it's coaching. My coaching staff is myself, Coach Kevin Shepard from Bishop Kearney, Jack Rosati, multiple schools. I can name them all. Tony DeMore from Cades Shiloh, Ryan O'Neill, who's still the city rep on the Section 5 Girls Basketball Committee. Maurice Jones has helped us out recently from East High. So we have a very diverse group, and it's been really rewarding to working with the top kids in Section 5 and winning this tournament year in and year out the last 3 years. So
no pressure, but you got to go for a 4-peat now. So.
Agreed. 6 kids back from that team, and hopefully any kids like Olivia Green from East Ronacoid and Petra Hunt from Pittsburgh Sutherland would be a pretty special group with the 6 we got back coming back from last year.
Well, best of luck. What I want to do now is I want to share the screen and go over Hilton's roster. Most of our viewership is going to be for the Hilton program cadet roster, starting with Avery and Taylor Ann. Avery's getting moved up as an 8th grader for sections. Allie Bell getting moved up. Paige Doones, Haley Esposito, Aver Highs, Sam Korzeniski, Jemiah Miles also getting moved up, I believe, from the JVs. Maddie Murphy, their leading scorer. Amelia Sloan, Sheila Spry, and Ellie Starwell. What do you know about the cadets? I know a little bit about them.
Yeah, I got to watch them play Bishop Kearney High School not too long ago. in the regular season. So I got a little view there. Obviously, Maddie Murphy didn't actually play in that game. She had a sprained ankle. So since she's been back, it's provided them with obviously a very big spark offensively. She's got a great AAU coach at XGen, good bloodline with her dad. I don't know if you know this.
Are you the ex-gen coach for her?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
I don't know if you know this, but there's only one guy that's a better shooter that John Wallace from Syracuse, the New York Knicks, played with in both high school and college and professionally, and that's Allen Houston. The only guy that's second to him, obviously, is Jeff Murphy. So I don't know if a lot of people know that, but John will concur on that notion. Maddie's a very solid player and obviously a great leader and works hard and leads by example on and off the floor. I did get to see a couple kids that I hadn't seen play before. The Miles girl is, very talented offensively and can put up some points. The Esposito kid shoots it well from the outside, and provides, a spark from the 3-point line. Amelia Sloan is very good defensively. I was told I should, contact her as far as recruiting her for next year at GCC. So we've had a conversation that she might be interested in. So that's great. The Starwall kid doesn't shoot it like her father, thank God, which is a blessing. More of the mom's skill with the basketball side, which is great, and a very, very talented athlete. The Taylor Ann kid kind of provides some size and athleticism around the paint and rebounds pretty well. They're very, and I'm probably leaving a kid or two out that contributes tremendously, but they're pretty solid. Ava Heiss can shoot it, good set shooter and smart with the ball. There'll be a tough out in AA one, but I think it's a pretty loaded bracket. So with Penfield, Webster Schrader, just name a few. So they'll have their hands full come sectional time.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned a lot of they not a tremendously big team, but they shoot the three well. And it's not just one or two kids. They got 3 or 4 kids that can shoot it. And when they're on, they're making multiple threes a game and they're in the double digits of threes. So when you're on like that, I know you always used to tell me about girls hoop, and when you got a girl that can shoot it, it's really a bonus.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Ava Heiss, she does a lot on the drive, gets to the foul line. Um, in its sectional time, do you see anybody in there, that group, that might be an X factor that might just shine through in a big game?
Well, I think, Manny Murphy, obviously last year, Mallory Heist, not Heisey, did an amazing job, obviously doing everything that she could to help will them game in and game out. Where now I think it's Maddie's time to step up here and kind of lead the ship and provide that experience and athleticism and hopefully help, control the game and then have the other girls just play their role and do their job. And Coach Dave Heiss has, I think, about 42 offensive sets. So, with his index card. So I'm sure he'll be calling him out left and right. But with that being said, I do think, Maddie Murphy will provide that, big piece and hopefully step up and really play a factor, especially in a tight game to help the Cadets prevail.
And they like to shoot it, and boy, that first pass, if you got an open shot, they're usually taking it or going to the hole. So yeah, their first round game is going to be on Friday night I think it's at 7 o'clock, or we'll get to that in a moment, against Wilson Early College. So it's a 3 seed versus a 6. Hilton be the 3 seed, and then Wilson Early College is the 6. I was looking at the boys' seeding points and how they do it, and then I was reviewing today how the girls do it, and it's slightly different. And what I want to do is share the screen and have you talk about how the seeds are done on the girls' side and how it might be slightly different than it is. There it is. So if you go game by game, how do the girls do their seeding points and then do their seeds?
So it's a point system based on the size of the school you are versus your opponent. If you play a school that is smaller, so for example, a double A playing an A, and you win, you only receive 4 points. Whereas if you play a school your same class or size, you get 5, and if you play a school that's bigger, you get 6. So the 6 is the most you can get, 4 is the minimum, and then obviously 0 for any loss. They do not give negative points for a loss.
Yes, and that's the difference I noticed about between the difference between the boys and the girls.
Correct. So, the girls' points are always positive, and, as long as you win at least one game. And, it rewards schools that play, some tougher schedules or bigger schools in a way. It doesn't have the power ranking system that football and hockey use with Section 5 with power rankings, but it's a system that's pretty, foolproof as far as if you play a bigger school, you get more points, and if you beat them, credit to you. And obviously, or if you're playing at least the same size school, you're going to get your 5 points in any victory, which kind of keeps you up there versus schools that might play a weaker schedule or smaller schools might not get rewarded. And unfortunately, some leagues have smaller schools in them where sometimes that point system kind of might not be able to help you as much as, if you're in a Monroe County with some bigger schools.
So Hilton finished the regular season with a 14-6 record. I'm going to stop sharing this screen and go to the sectional brackets for a. So this is the sectional bracket that Hilton is in. So there's up at the top. If you could go down game by game and what you know about these schools.
Yes.
And you don't have to predict the game, but
so obviously I did get to see Brighton play, led by a former Webster Thomas Titan, Kelly Weeks, at the head coaching position. She's got a scrappy group. I saw them play Victor a couple weeks ago, and I think they could obviously advance in that first pre-quarter game to play Penfield. Dan Judd's brother, Mark Vogt, is the coach at Penfield. Why I call him a brother is they kind of look alike with the bald head, very similar coaching demeanors and styles. But Mark's got a very talented group that obviously is the 1 seed there. Could obviously get through to that at least semifinal, if not final. I think Victor Spenceport will be an interesting game. I saw them play. They have a very talented guard that I know is a big lacrosse kid that really can shoot it and plays really hard and is very athletic. Spenceport's got Georgia Gray, who obviously is a 1,000-point scorer and will be obviously a tough matchup for the Blue Devils. So that game should be interesting. Obviously, the winner will probably get in Penfield. Schrader is young but very talented. They have the Avery Croning at guard, young guard. I think she's a sophomore at like 5'11", 6 foot that can shoot it. They got a big kid, I think that's only in 8th grade or freshman, that is pretty talented and an up-and-coming kid to go along with a very good senior who played actually on the BCNY for us this past year, who's, in my opinion, kind of underrated as far as her, accolades go. But she plays super hard and was a pleasure to have. And I think, will obviously play a big factor with her experience too. As a senior, she's going to play at SUNY Oneonta next year after graduation, and they're lucky to have her. Rhonda Coy Thomas, I haven't seen either team, so I can't really comment. I think that'll be a decent pre-quarter. And then obviously you got Hilton and Wilson at the bottom. I think Hilton will advance, probably end up playing Webster Schrader. If you get the battle of Websters in the quarters. And then obviously, it's in that semifinal, it could be anywhere from, Penfield, the victor, to Hilton, to Webster Schrader advancing to that final on March 6th at FOCCC. That'd be an interesting championship.
so that is the A1 bracket. Explain what happens for states as I pull up the A2 and how they decide on who goes to the state tournament to represent AA.
So when you have a split class, you'll have what's called a crossover game. So the winner of AA1 will play the winner of AA2 in a crossover game right after following the March, obviously a 6th, 7th championship weekend early that following week. And then actually some classes will have a sub-regional that is new to obviously Section 5. Before, it's always been traditionally you win your section, you win your crossover, you play in the Far West Regional to go to the Final Four of states. Well, now, because Section 5, other sections have had to play more games to get to the states, they've added what's called a sub-regional where I think Class B for us this year, and I think there's one more class, will not only have to play the Buffalo winner, but then another um, section before they can even get to the Final Four to make it to states. So that's why you'll see Class B. Their games are starting tomorrow with quarterfinals. Then they had pre-quarters on Saturday, so that they can get, when most teams are doing the crossover, they're already playing a sub-regional or regional to get to the Final Four. So that'll be interesting for some classes to have that extra game involved before they can even get to the Final Four.
Interesting. Okay, so up on the screen right now, we got the Class AA2. Talk to me a little bit about some of those teams and matchups.
I've seen Dan Judd and his Sutherland Knights play quite a few times this year, 3-4. They're pretty loaded. Lucy Bush is a very talented young lady. Petra Hunt's, also second to none as far as her abilities go. And then they have these Hamilton twins that I just love. They fly around, shoot the ball really well. And they have this Madison Littlefield to round out the starting five that is just, she's shooting the ball very well. That makes them very tough to beat. Eastridge is getting Olivia Green back. She missed half the year with a torn ACL from AAU last year. That's going to provide a big rise in Eastridge's stock as far as sectional play goes. Churchville's led by Erin Marone in that 4-5 game. She's going to play at Cuca next year. And they had a really good AAU coach too. Linden is very good. There are two really good guards, one being the point guard, Eva Dixon, who I think is very, very special and already has an offer from University of Buffalo. And then you have Canandaigua, who's very solid with a very good big and a very good guard in Gianna Boucheri, and Brockport led by senior Lydia Childs, and has a pretty veteran group rack. Janelle Loriano, just to name a few, that could, cause some, trouble in that Canandaigua Brockport matchup. That should be interesting. Obviously everyone's thinking it could be a possible Pittsford final. But I wouldn't count out Eastridge, and Canandaigua in that class for sure.
Yeah, especially with Olivia Green coming back, you said?
Yep.
How many games has she been playing now?
She actually had to get a medical waiver. You're supposed to play in a third of the season. So if it's a 20-game season, she was supposed to play in 7. I gotta say she's probably right at that number, if not maybe 1 or 2 off of, but she did get a medical waiver. So she is cleared, and I'm ready to go for sectional play with the Eastridge Lancers, obviously. So.
And now we're going to go up to the AAA bracket, and I want you to talk a little bit about what you expect there. There we go.
So obviously Fairport is a one. I got to see them play against Pittsford Sutherland. Coach Tom Vasey and Mark Bisnack are good guys. Avery Lucy is one of my favorite kids in Section 5. She provides a big punch inside and out at the 4. They got obviously Scott Fitch's daughter, one of the guards, who provides some leadership and solid guard play, and a great bloodline, obviously, with her father. And they got some talented kids, top to bottom. Bishop Kearney's always, a tough out in sectional play with Kevin Shepard, even though, he lost, the young kid to Long Island Lutheran early, before the season started. He wasn't really, planning on losing her, but unfortunately she did make the move. He's still got some athletic kids and can cause some trouble with the way they play. Love Edison, and led by Keisha Jones, also known as KK. Hopefully she'll be a future GCC Cougar in the next year. We'll see. And then you got Aquinas, who, everyone kind of touted as the front runner in this bracket, but as a 3 seed, who knows? But they are talented. Obviously, Loren Green, AJ Orr, Jade Harvey, just to name a few. And they made a state run last year, in AA. So it'll be very interesting to see, they're coming out of that bottom of the bracket with the 2 seed being obviously in AA or AAA is Edison, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So if the Aquinas gets obviously by Rush, and then Edison are the winner of Greece or Kitty Olympia, then obviously Fairport, Bishop Kearney could probably be the other side of that semi. unless Athena Odyssey pulls, well, they're actually the 4 seed, so maybe that could be a good game. I did see Athena Odyssey play, and I saw them play East Rochester early in the year, and they're scrappy, and they have a very talented guard in White, is the last name. She's young, that maybe could provide some trouble for Bishop Garney. So it should be a pretty competitive class, but obviously people are kind of touting Aquinas and Fairport to be in that final.
And those are the upper classifications. Talk to me a little bit about some of the lower classifications, what you know about them.
Well, in the Bs, I know B1 is pretty loaded. I believe D1 has got Hornell, and Hornell's not even a 1, and they went to the state finals last year. Like Dansville, I believe, is the 1. You also have in Hornell's bracket, I believe, Waterloo possibly in that B bracket. Just making sure I'm correct in that. And that information. Yep, B1. Oh, Marion also is in B1. Marion Williamson, I believe, is a combo group. I heard they have a very talented player. I didn't see them. Yep, Waterloo's in B1. That is correct. I was right. So I think that B1 class is obviously going to be pretty interesting to see who's going to survive. Livonia, I think, has already got knocked out because they have obviously, as I said, the sub-regional. So they're already into the quarterfinal round. So it should be a pretty interesting group. B2, I'm not sure who the 1 seed is in B2 off the top of my head, but I do know. So B2's got East Rochester. Yep, Dansville's obviously in B1, where, it's obviously some of the smaller Bs, and they'll have to play the winner of the B, which whoever survives that bracket will be obviously a pretty big contender for the sectional title. And then you got the Cs. There's one bracket, I believe, has York as maybe a 2, 3, or 4. You also have in that C class, Oakfield, Alabama, who's the only team in Section 5 that's undefeated in the regular season, is not even a 1 seed, because you have the Keshequa group, who I believe that's the same class. You have Keshequa is the 1 seed, who Pete Perino is a legend in his own right, leading a very talented group with Braylon Eisenman, Riley Benner, and the Wood girl, the big kid inside. You have York, who I said, Tessa Rodwell, Brianna Parsons, finalist for Player of the Year in the Livingston County League. And you have Oakfield as a 2, who's undefeated, haven't lost. And they have, I guess, these 2 very talented 7th grade guards or guard forwards that I saw. I got to see them play Roy Hard on Monday last week, that will obviously contend in a very loaded class for C1. I believe Letchworth is also a 1 seed. I'm not sure what bracket. I think Letchworth is in C1. So obviously they are the 1 seed too, which will provide obviously a Chad D-Rock, former teammate of mine at SUNY Brockport on the football team, leads that. Shout out to Coach D-Rock. All right, not to Rock, D-Rock and his group, who are in the 1 seed. Keshequa, I'm sorry, in New York are in C2 with Oakfield, and C1 Letchworth is the 1 seed. You also have HAC and C. Cadence Brecker played on the BCNY. She's going to play at a Division III school in Minnesota next year. Will provide a big factor in that C1 bracket. They got to play actually Kendall in the first round, so that'll be an interesting matchup. And then the winner of that game will have to play Letchworth, obviously, in the semifinals. So a pretty interesting class. And that's a quarterfinal game. So C1, obviously, and then a loaded C2 bracket. And then you get to your Class Ds. So Class D, I think Avoca Prattsburgh maybe might be the number 1 seed in D. I know it's a combination group. And then you got Batavia Notre Dame, who lost a coin flip for the 2-3 seed. Yep. To get the 3 seed, I believe Alba is a 4 seed in that bracket. Like I said, I just got a recruit from there. Committed me today on the phone, Bria Smith, who's one of the better players in the Genesee region, and a senior led with Lydia Ross with a nice senior led group with a point guard there at Alba. And Alba's traditionally had a very strong program. So in Class D too, it's tough because I don't get to see those smaller. Oh, I can't leave out one school in Class C. My apologies. Castillo Greenwood in C1 will be a factor with Letchworth for sure. Peyton Bentley, who left Hornell early in this school year, is now transferred over to, obviously, Canisteo Greenwood with a Mullen girl. Her sister plays at Cuca, and 2 other young guards that are very super talented. I think Canisteo Greenwood will give Letchworth all they can handle if they see each other in the sectional finals. But unfortunately, I don't get to see a lot of the Ds in the Southern tier. So I can't comment on on that league and what they're going to bring to the table in Class D. But usually Class D is always a pretty competitive class just because it's so many smaller schools, and that small school, kind of pride will reign through with sometimes, some schools really, making a late run here in sectionals.
Well, I appreciate that very thorough rundown. One classification that I forgot to run through was a Class A. Uh, so I'm
That's
going to
my class. Yep.
pull that up and let you go to town on that.
So East High obviously is a 1 seed led by Samaj Jackson and Dariana Weathers. They call her also Tootie. Our two kids with a lot of experience from last year's team. Last year, East kind of came in as a top dog, and Pittsburgh Sutherland kind of took them out of their game in the semifinals on their way to the sectional finals last year. So East is, lost quite a few seniors from last year's team, but have a good nucleus back, coached by Maurice Jones. Wayne and Rochester Prep, I do not know a lot about. Kelly Palladino, I believe, is the coach at Wayne. I would think that they would probably make it to see East in that quarter. Mercy should take care of Young Women's College Prep / EMHCS. Eugenio Marino's the hostess. Mercy's got a very young, talented big kid, Wonky. Her father played at McQuaid back when I was playing at Bishop Kearney. And I think she's got a great bloodline. And they got a couple other solid kids at guard. I got to see Newark play. Actually, Newark's got a big kid forward, Arizona Chapel, who is also committed to Genesee Community College. Thank you. She had 18 and 17 on her senior night the other night last week against Midlakes, and she'll be a cute Cougar next year. They have a very good guard in Karina Natale at Newark. That I believe is a junior that's getting some, attention at the college level. School of the Arts has two very good players in the 7 seed, Jasmine Jones and Brielle Geiger. But they only have 5 girls, and to their credit, have played the majority of the season with 5 girls. So that might be tough against a very scrappy and well-coached Batavia team led by John McCauley. HFL, this is Willow's last ride. Johnny Cash, if you don't know, he loves to wear black, the man in black. He's got an unbelievable shooter who's actually going to play lacrosse at Duke University next year. She'll keep anyone in games the way she shoots the ball, and some other really solid kids around her that play the game well. And then Pal Mac could be a sleeper at 6. They have a couple good players. Georgia Worth, I've seen play twice. And Julia, Julia's last name's slipping my mind right now, but also a very talented Bellinger. I think some people pronounce it Bellinger, but Bellinger, who also is a great player too and a great kid, who could make some noise in that 6 seed. Obviously, it's kind of up for grabs in my opinion. East, Mercy, you got some pretty talented teams in that top half. Then you get to the bottom in Newark and obviously HFL. That'll be a pretty interesting semifinal, whoever makes it to the Final Four, and then obviously the championship game on March 7th at FLCC.
Okay, well, it'll be good to see what happens. Okay, in your years of experience in coaching, when you coach sectional play, how does it differ, and how do you do the X's and O's and mental approach?
So obviously every coach's goal come February and into March into the sectional play is to have your team playing the best it can be at that time. So I don't know that a lot more, preparation can be made as much as just fine tuning and making sure that the girls are focused. They understand it's one and done, and win in advance and lose and you go home. Anything can happen. Brockport was the 1 seed in their conference tournament in the Empire 8, playing my buddy Thad Phillips in the Elmira team on last Friday as an 8 seed, and Elmira beat Brockport. So I don't want to use the, miracle on ice, but, you don't got to beat a team 10 times. You got to beat them once, and so anything can happen, especially in girls basketball. I've seen it. I've lived it. It's fun to be a part of. But, you want your kids relaxed. You want them focused. You want them, paying attention to detail, little things, rebounding, limiting turnovers, pushing the ball, getting easy buckets in transition, just doing some things and fine tuning, and obviously being as prepared as you can be, watching film, knowing who the opponent scout is and who the best players are, what you need to do to try to control them, and what you need to do to be successful overall as a team versus their obviously style and play. But what it really is going to come down to is the Jimmy and the Joes, and not so much the X's and O's. And if you got some kids that can really play, that are seasoned, that are bought in and want to play together, well, it's not always sometimes the most talented team, but the team that's willing to play their best together, they can win a championship. And I think in all these classes, you have one seeds that have some pretty special players and great coaches, but there's some other teams too that are battle tested and are ready and maybe have played a tough schedule and might not have a higher seed that could really obviously make some noise. So, practices that might start in the beginning of the season for 2 hours might be an hour and a half, and less is more sometimes when you get to this point in the season, because a 20-game season in 4 months of basketball is a lot. And, sometimes rest and, just, fine tuning is better than just, wearing them down and keep working them in the gym when it comes to sectional time.
Well, Jeff, you've been a plethora of information. Is there anything else you want to add before we sign off?
Just make sure everyone knows it's Coach Heiss, not Heisey. So there's a lot of, rumors flying around here on how to, pronounce the name, with the Olympics in Iowa State. It's Coach Heiss, just want to make sure everyone's set on that. And I got to give a shout out to Coach Maffaletto, not Maffaletta, Maffaletto, and the Hilton Cadets Heiss hockey team, who won a double overtime game against, obviously, Boardside Royals, their, arch nemesis, on, I believe that was Friday night. And now advanced Thursday to a semifinal game against Fairport, once a Raider, always a Raider, at Lakeshore Arena. So shout out to Coach Maffaletto and the boys. Hopefully he'll have them ready to run. I can only hope Coach Paterino has the power play ready to roll, because he did not do a great job in the quarterfinal round.
You don't know hockey.
Oh, I do. I've actually told Coach, I call him Coach Ginzo, but it's Coach Paterino, that, if he needs any help with the power play, I'm ready to roll. So whether it's the umbrella or some 1-3-1, I could really shake things up for him if needed. But we're going to let Coach Ginzo have a second shot here, and hopefully he can come through on that power play for the Cadets. And hopefully Coach Maffaletto, Coach Mesbauer, Coach Nerlicki, and Coach Paterino will have the boys ready to buzzing, as they say, the boys buzzing on the ice on Thursday so they can get to that sectional final.
Thank you very much for that. Good luck. And I wish the Cadet hockey team luck as well. I wish you luck on Friday in your game. Thank you very much for joining us on the Big H podcast. If you like this episode, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and then turn on your notifications so you don't miss an episode. Follow me on X, Apple Podcasts, Rumble, and Spotify. Again, thank you for joining us. Good luck to Dave Heiss and the Lady Cadets. Let's go. It's March Madness. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
The Big H podcast, tune in now. Conversations that'll wow. Laugh and learn, stay a while. Let's explore that Hilton style. From the highs to the lows, every story just explodes. Mike's got questions on the go, diving deep from head to toe. Every week the guests align, sharing moments so divine. Stay with us, the pace is fine. Every episode you'll find